Señores, Donald Trump sigue demostrando lo que realmente es. Un hombre débil, un hombre patético, que solo encuentra seguridad lanzando amenazas contra quienes lo desafían. Entre las personas que más lo están intimidando, sin duda, está la congresista Jasmine Crockett. Donald Trump y este grupo de secuaces han estado atacándola constantemente. Pero les tengo una mala noticia para ellos. Jasmine Crockett no se deja intimidar y hoy lo ha dejado más que claro en el Congreso. Vimos una intervención demoledora, directamente a refutar los ataques que ha recibido contra Trump, contra Pam Bondi y hasta el mismísimo Departamento de Justicia. Sean bienvenidos a Políticamente en Desacuerdo. Amigos, hoy veremos cómo Donald Trump amenaza a Jasmine Crockett y ella, sin miedo, lo enfrenta en el Congreso. Así que los invito a que se queden hasta el final de este video porque veremos los detalles más interesantes. Bueno amigos, antes de irles a mostrar la respuesta de Jasmine Crockett, lamentablemente pues tenemos que escuchar un poco, ¿no? ¿Quién inició todo esto? Y es Pam Bondi, quien al parecer está más ocupada cumpliendo las órdenes de Donald Trump que en hacer su trabajo de una manera imparcial. Así que veamos este clip.
We are not coming off these charges. We are looking at everything, especially if this is a concerted effort. This is domestic terrorism. And Maria, now you have this Congresswoman Crockett who is calling for attacks on Elon Musk on her birthday. Let's take him out on my birthday, she says. Yet she turns and says, oh, I'm not calling for violence. Well, she is an elected public official. And so she needs to tread very carefully because nothing will happen to Elon Musk. And we're going to fight to protect all of the Tesla owners throughout this country, and it's basic safety. Once again, domestic terrorism is going to come to a stop in our country.
Totalmente absurdo, es más, es muy vergonzoso que esta persona tenga un cargo en el Departamento de Justicia. No le importa la ley, no le importan las instituciones, no le importa la justicia. Solo está allí para hacerle favor a Donald Trump. Y honestamente, amigos, eso es muy evidente. Lo importante aquí es que Jasmine Crockett no se dejó amedrentar y salió públicamente en el Congreso a defenderse. Una respuesta muy brutal por su parte que yo creo que el que lo haya visto no le quedó más dudas. Vamos a ver este clip.
Thank the chairman. I now recognize the ranking member of the subcommittee, Jasmine Crockett.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And I first just want to begin with a news alert. Guess what? Joe Biden is not the president anymore. So maybe we can move on. Maybe we can move into the present because it seems like we are living in the past. And listen, these are not the good old days, you know, like you used to sit around and your grandparents would talk to you about what used to happen. What we need to be talking about is how we are going to legislate, because I think that some of my colleagues have confused what our jobs are, and I get that we're sitting in judiciary. And so it may seem as if we are here to be litigators, but we are here to be legislators, which means that we are supposed to be writing laws, not trying to have our own trials and determine whether or not something is true or not, or whatever the case is, or who should be sued, who shouldn't be sued. All I know is that a great American hero, a good senator out of New Jersey, said something to the effect yesterday as he was shattering the record for holding the floor, a record that had been held by another racist in this country. As he shattered that, he said something about the fact that this should not be about left versus right. It should be about right versus wrong. And I am going to tell you that I want us to focus on right versus wrong. The reason that we are struggling right now in this country as it relates to people not trusting agencies, honestly, a lot of it is because of elected leaders. Let me tell you, one of the things that the chairman and I actually agree upon, we don't agree on a lot, is that we both know that there has been a sharp incline as it relates to threats upon our lives. Regardless of what side of the aisle you sit on, we both know and agree that as sitting members of Congress, we both are enduring more death threats than anybody should in this country. And I believe that it is because of the divisive rhetoric and it is because of the selective enforcement of things. And so when we have, and I'm gonna be clear because I had remarks and I'm going a whole other way. To have the sitting Attorney General go on, and I'm gonna call it faux news. I know some of y'all love it, but it's fake to me. To have her go on Fox News and to then decide that she wanted to send a threat to me, it was wrong. Because here it is, she is the highest law enforcement agent in this country, and people are watching and they are consuming this information and they are believing that simply because I decided that I wanted to exercise my right to free speech, which I am not abridged from doing, that she then wanted to then politicize something that should not be politicized. I don't like Elon Musk. I'm gonna say it 50,000 times. I don't like him. I don't like that he going out there and he firing people. I think that he's a crook because somehow the rest of us can't sit around and get whatever federal contracts we want. The rest of us can't sit around and get law enforcement and get them somehow ordained as federal law enforcement to protect him. The rest of us can't get our dealerships protected by the federal government. That is somebody that is operating above the law. For whatever reason, just because he has a lot of money, more money than everybody else, and yes, I am happy to see that on my birthday, which is what I said, there were peaceful protests around this world against him because he is a problem. And so you never should have somebody that is sitting that high and is going to sit up here and threaten a sitting member of Congress when she knew good and well, if she watched the entire thing, that I specifically told protesters to make sure you consult with lawyers, just like I've told protesters over and over and over in the history of me advising people to go out and exercise their constitutional right. The fact that there are other sitting members that have received letters of threat from this new DOJ tells me that they are about retribution and they are not about following the law. The reason that our party, or I won't even say our party, our country is torn apart is because we can't even agree on right versus wrong. This should not be left versus right. The only thing that we're asking is that we have law enforcement that will show up when there is an actual crime. If somebody calls and says, hey, I need you to investigate this cyber crime, or I need you to investigate this child pornography, or I need you to investigate this robbery, then we want somebody to show up, and we don't want them to look at us and act as if just because I'm black or because I'm woman, that I am not worthy of having that case investigated, because we have an administration that is continuously railing against diversity, equity, and inclusion, or we don't need people that show up that feel like diversity should not be valued. That is why we should have somebody that may show up and looks like me. The final thing that I'll say, because you've been gracious, is this. When I first became a public defender, I had no criminal defense experience. And I walked in and I told my boss, Charlie, I said, listen, you should hire me. He said, why? I said, because I'm black. Charlie looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, let me tell you something. When I walk in, I'm going to walk in with a level of rapport and understanding that maybe some of my other colleagues will not. Charlie offered me my job, and I worked my butt off, and I worked really, really hard for all of my clients, not just those that look like me, and that is what it looks like to serve. Thank you.
Sinceramente, amigos, si esto no los motiva, no sé qué lo hará. La valentía, la claridad con la cual Jasmine Crockett enfrenta estos ataques, ¿no? Es impresionante. Hemos visto cómo la han perseguido, cómo la han acosado, cómo intentan callarla. Y todo esto porque, pues, saben que su voz en este momento es de las jóvenes más poderosas, ¿no? Y temen lo que puede representar más allá. Aquí no termina porque aún hay más. Veamos otro fragmento de su intervención.
We go again talking about Biden, and more Biden. Today is nothing more than a dog and pony show for Republicans to avoid facing the American people for their trash policies that are killing the economy and our democracy. Despite Republicans' claim of backing the blue and being the party of law and order, we're here today because Republicans are willing to throw our country's top law enforcement agents under the bus to appease Trump and execute his political vengeance. Now, I know remembering things is hard for some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, like remembering not to add reporters into a signal chat discussing military war plans. But let me remind my colleagues that it was Trump who decided to store national secrets and classified documents next to his oversized bathtub and toilet at Mar-a-Lago. It was Trump who took the documents out of the boxes and shared them with his guests. It was Trump who told his staff to move the boxes when the FBI was coming. And it was Trump who appointed Director Christopher Wray as head of the FBI, the same director that allowed the investigation to move forward. As much as Trump and Republicans hate to accept it, we are still a country with laws. And when you break them, there are consequences. Now, make no mistake, we should all be concerned about the FBI. But my concerns as ranking member of this subcommittee, as a member of Congress, and as an attorney, as well as a citizen, are based on things called facts. And when I say facts, I mean clear, indisputable facts, not those alternative facts my Republican colleagues continue pushing onto the American people. So let's talk about facts. Fact. Even prior to being confirmed by the Senate, Kash Patel was directing officials within the FBI to fire members within the Bureau simply because they worked on the lawful investigations into Trump. Fact, Patel failed to disclose his previous work and financial ties with the country of Qatar, a country that, had you had read the Mazars report, released last year by the House Oversight Committee, you would know paid close to $500,000 to Trump while he was president of the United States. Unsurprisingly, the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force was recently disbanded, and the DOJ also cut back on its Foreign Agents Registration Act enforcement. Our enemies are jumping up and down now that we're doing their work for them. Another fact, Patel has never even been an FBI agent and is now leading the Bureau. Even one of today's Republican witnesses organizations, the Bureau, has advocated having an FBI agent lead the Bureau. But rather than confirm a director with credible, dedicated experience, the Republicans confirmed a political loyalist with no Quantico or FBI training. Talk about DEI. Didn't earn it.
Así es, amigos, otra ronda de aplausos para la congresista Crockett. Su fortaleza, ¿no? Esta determinación que podemos ver nos recuerda que aún hay gente luchando en el Congreso. Y por eso, amigos, siempre vamos a demostrar la realidad y la verdad en este canal. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarme hasta el final de este video. Como siempre, recuerda darle un like al video, compartirlo con tus amigos y suscribirte a nuestro canal Políticamente en Desacuerdo. Nos vemos en el próximo video. Hasta luego.